Very warm welcome to HMR Waterfront presents Game on Hair. Bahut shukriya for your time as to what is going to be an epic pre-show. We have so much to unpack here on the show because the ICC Men's T20 World Cup is hurtling towards what is sure to be an explosive finish. Well, we had a very important match in the context of who gets the second semi-final position in Group 2 in the very early hours of the morning. And of course, we have the big game to look forward to tonight, Pakistan time, India versus Australia. So much action, so much to unpack here on the show, and I can tell you right now, the showdown between South Africa and the West Indies in Antigua this morning was what a match that was. I cannot wait to unpack it with all of our wonderful experts in the studio alongside me, and of course my lovely co-host Rohan Nadeem. Rohan, my goodness, I mean, this T20 World Cup's been full of surprises. We thought perhaps the West Indies at home in front of their home crowd could get the job done, but South Africa, they win another nervy one and they send them home.
It's so confusing to watch this South African team in this World Cup. They're unbeaten so far. Somehow things are working out for them. Whoever they play, whoever they bench, the combinations just keep rewarding them out on the field, and they keep winning by these very bare margins. But it makes me think, I always believed, as a Pakistan cricket fan, maybe, it's my team that always puts us under that kind of pressure, that nervousness when you're watching a game and when you're almost at the winning line, but you still have that fear in you. Kuch bhi ho sakta hai kabhi bhi. Watching this South African team has been kind of, very relieving in a way, because, it makes us feel that we're not alone as Pakistan cricket fans. There are teams in the world who can throw you, in that state of absolute nervousness throughout the game. But yeah, congratulations to South Africa. What a game.
Yeah, absolute chaos, as South Africa seems to do in every single match in this T20 World Cup thus far. But most importantly, they're getting the job done and getting across the line. To help us unpack all of the drama that happened in the early hours of the morning in Antigua, let's welcome back in our wonderful expert panel, the best of the best, of course, which only a T20 World Cup can provide. The Rawalpindi Express, the fastest man on the planet, Shoaib Akhtar, is back in the studio.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
And then, of course, one of the fiercest strikers in white ball cricket, and one of the best strikers of the game's ever known, to be perfectly honest, Martin Guptill, all the way from New Zealand. Marty Party, welcome back to the studio.
Thank you.
Unke saath hain, as always, the World Cup winning captain Yunus Khan, who has scored runs over runs for Pakistan. Welcome back to Game On. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Ji. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. And unke saath baithe hai Ji, the professor, the all-rounder, with his analysis as well. He's so all-round, crisp and calculated. Welcome back, sir. Good to have you on Game On here. And let's start our build-up for this all-important match, Australia versus India. Can it get any bigger and any better in a World Cup match?
Oh, it absolutely can't get any bigger, and I'm a little nervous, I have to say, as obviously an Australian fan. There's a bit of weather around in St Lucia apparently as well, which really throws a spanner in the works. Not so much for India. They'll take a washout. That'll mean that they qualify, but it might be a bit of a nervous wait for Australia should that happen. So fingers crossed, we have everything crossed that the weather gods are on our side as we build up to that big match, which is from 7:30 p.m. live Pakistan time today. But we have to go back to what happened in the early hours of the morning in Antigua. We needed to know who would be the second semi-finalist that would join in that spot, and we know that England's already made it, but was it going to be the West Indies, the home nation, or was it going to be South Africa? And let's take a little look at the match summary to remind us of the drama that did unfold in the early hours of the morning, because it was a low-scoring, rain-affected affair. West Indies were sent into bat. 135 for 8 was all they could manage in what is usually pretty decent batting circumstances, it had to be said. And Roston Chase, he had a wonderful game for the West Indies, albeit on the losing side. It was 52 for him off 42. Kyle Mayers into the side and opened the batting, made a hard-fought 35 of 34 balls. Dre Russ and Alzari winning out the rest of the runs there. But Shamsi, player of the match performance, 3 for 27 for him. He was unbelievable, back into the side. Rabada 1 for 11, brilliant, backed up by Michael Janssen, who had a game to remember. And then in reply, they were 2 for 15 South Africa in that second innings when the rain came, and you sort of thought, my gosh, like, they're going to lose it again. How can this happen? But Tristan Stubbs, anchored down that innings, 29 of 27. Heinrich Klaassen took 20 of 1 over to remove Moti from the side completely in terms of a spin option with his 22 off 10. Broke the back of that run chase, and Rabada hit a beautiful cover drive off this last ball of the second last over, and then it was just a 6 from Marco Jansen to seal the deal. They chased down that revised total to give South Africa a win by 3 wickets, thanks to DLS. And we now know that they are the second team to qualify in that group too. Congratulations to the Proteas. They've survived yet another scare. The run rate is on the lower side, as we can see, due to not winning by big margins, which very nearly could have been what undid them, Roha. But they held their nerve once again. And Shoaib, I come to you because the Proteas have got a little bit of a monkey on the back, so to speak, in World Cups. Semi-finals are usually where it ends, but it very nearly could have ended for them this morning had they not managed to dig deep, pull off a big performance ahead of the West Indies at home. How impressed were you by how they managed to keep a cool, calm head?
Well, like I said before, that Proteas always need a bit of a luck, and this time around they just had too much of luck going in their favours to win games. Look, the misery of South Africa has finished as yet because we still have to play the semi-finals. That's where
it gets tricky.
That's where it gets tricky. Since 99 till 2024, I feel for them. I always felt for them, and my heart is in a lot of pain when I see Proteas not to go through the finals and not winning the finals. So is with the New Zealand, as I said before. But it doesn't matter if you create a big partnerships within this kind of format or not. You get 12s, 18, 28, 22. No big performance like Chase, and also he got some wickets too as well, right? Austin Chase, right? So, but having said that, a little small partnerships can create the wonders. At the same time, getting across the line, that what matters. All what matters is for South Africa right now is just to qualify, and for heaven's sake, win that, and please win the semi-final. And I don't want no more mess-ups from you guys. I want you to just go out there and win it, because when you look at the faces of Proteas, the lads, it's a great bunch of guys. They're a great bunch of people. They're a great bunch of guys and a unit. All the need in the country and the whole world needs the Proteas to win. But somehow, it's saddening to see that, one of the nicest team and the country who can understand this T20 format better than anybody else is West Indies, is departing. But again, I think all the panelists has agreed. The feeling was there that, Martin, Yunus and Hafiz always said that one thing, that we want South Africa to go through. And thank God it had happened. And to dig deep analysis, listen, I have a best guy for you. He's sitting right in the corner. It's Professor, Doctor, the Mr. above cricket.
We'll get Professor, your analysis, your takeaway
to Professor, please.
from how South Africa won this game, because we were all on the edge about whether they will qualify, seeing the form the West Indian players were in. But once again, a close match for them. But do you think that's what matters? If you're through, doesn't matter what the margins were?
I think we already discussed earlier कि जिस तरह का उनका rough and tough process रहा है, rough and tough journey रही है इस पूरे वर्ल्ड कप में, तो उनके प्लेयरों में कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल बढ़ जाता है. तो एज ए टीम आई थिंक दे प्लेड द लास्ट गेम विद अ ग्रेट स्पिरिट, एंड दे न्यू लाइक इट्स ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द नॉकआउट स्टेज दे आर प्लेइंग फॉर. क्योंकि अगर ये कल हारते तो शायद इनके लिए मुश्किल हो सकती थी. आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि आउट हो जाते, लेकिन शायद मुश्किल हो जाती. मुझे लगता है कि जो उन्होंने मैच जीता, तो उस जीतने के साथ उन्होंने मेक श्योर किया कि तो नंबर 1 फिनिश किया और अपनी वो जो अनबीटेबल स्ट्रीक है उसको कंटिन्यू किया. तो एज ए टीम उनके बहुत से ऐसे हमने मैच देखे जहाँ पे वो हार सकते थे, लेकिन दे वन दोज मोमेंट्स ऑफ द गेम. तो एज ए टीम बड़े कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ गए हैं. वेस्ट इंडीज़ के लिए मुझे लगता है कि जहाँ पे भी उनके मेन बंदे जैसे पूरन और पूरन के साथ शाय होप, वो पहले और दूसरे ओवर में जब 2 विकेट गिरी तो वो दे कुडंट रिकवर आफ्टर दैट, क्योंकि ये दोनों उनके मेन प्लेयर थे, अच्छा परफॉर्म कर रहे थे. आई थिंक द रन्स वर नॉट इनफ ऑन द टोटल लाइक ऑन द बोर्ड. दे शुड बी 160, लेकिन वो नहीं कर सके बिकॉज उनकी अच्छी बॉलिंग थी साउथ अफ्रीका की. शम्सी बॉल्ड रियली वेल इन द मिडल ओवर. तो आई थिंक एज ए टीम दे मस्ट बी डिसअपॉइंटेड. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट वेस्ट इंडीज not to go to the semi, because as a home crowd, as a home team, people were expecting them to do well. But obviously the journey South Africa had so far, as we all mentioned, like rough and tough journey they had, I'm sure they must be in a great confidence to play semi-final. Yes, the tagging of semi-final is always haunting them most of the times in the whole many years. But this time, this South African process into semi-final is great to watch.
And they're still undefeated in this edition of the tournament. They've won 6 now, but 5 of them have been so close, just about too close for comfort, Marty, but they got the job done once again. It doesn't matter how you win them at the end of the day, as long as you keep winning. That's exactly what they did. They know that they booked themselves a semi-final position in the top of their pool too, which was a very important fact to mention. But 135 in Antigua probably was never going to be enough in those conditions. South African bowlers were absolutely sensational, considering the hosts, they only scored 49 runs in the last 8 overs. So the way that they managed to really pull that back and restrict them to 135. How impressed were you by the bowling performance once again?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it doesn't matter how you win in this sort of situation. Run rate becomes irrelevant, because if you lose, you're probably out, but if you win, you're through. So run rate is taken out of it. It didn't matter how they got across the line. But saying that, 135 almost proved too much for South Africa to chase. But the beauty about this team at the moment is they are finding ways to win. The South African teams of the past have found themselves in these situations but found ways to lose. So I'm not sure what they're doing, but they just got to keep doing it for 2 more games, and they've got a World Cup under their belt. So, I mean, hats off to them. They are winning probably ugly wins, which, you know, are sometimes the better wins, but they want to put a more complete performance on in the coming days in the semi-final, whoever they may play, to be able to get through to that final. And yeah, I mean, just well done to them, and they've really turned things around and started to play some really tough cricket and getting the results for it.
And talking about finding ways to win too, Roha, there was this awesome moment in the commentary when Sean Pollock was saying, oh, I don't think Rabada should take the one. I think Marco Jansen should, you know, fighting over who should take the last ball, whether or not you run the single. Then Dal Steyn's going, no, he needs to run the single, what's going on? And then Rabada hits probably the best cover drive of his entire life. To just seal the deal after all of that argument within the commentary box, within 2 South African greats. They're just finding a way to get the job done, like you said, and I thought that was just a wonderful moment to listen back to when, you know, you've even got 2 guys on the same side who've done the deal for South Africa so many times in their life as well, fighting over what was the best plan of attack, and then Rabada just hits an absolutely glorious shot. See, fast bowlers and batting.
Rabada can still bat though. He has batted at 8 in the order for South Africa for a number of years, especially in Test cricket. Now that they've got Marco Jansen, he probably slides down to 9. Obviously Marco's a better player, but better batter. But look, you know, he can bat. You know, I've seen him hit 6s out of the ground and clutch moments. So, and it's big ups to Marco for actually, you know, having the faith in his partner to be able to do that. Even if he only got 2, you know, it creates just a little bit less pressure for that last over, and then obviously it wouldn't have mattered in the end because Jansen had a 6 down the ground, so it didn't matter. But, you know, he showed faith in his partner at the other end, and, you know, that's what playing a team sport is all about.
And you know, we have been talking about combinations and balance, like we saw with England as well yesterday. Just the right players sitting on the bench coming into the 11 and delivering for the team. अभी यहाँ पे भी इनकी टीम में भी एक सिलेक्शन का भी एक हेडिक बना हुआ था कि अगर हम 2 स्पिनर खिलाते हैं तो फिर हम किसको बिठाएंगे. बैट्समैन को उन्होंने नहीं खिलाया ये वाला मैच. They went with Shamsi, they packed him. Maharaj was there, and हमने शायद साउथ अफ्रीका को इतनी स्पिन ऐसे यूटिलाइज करते हुए इस फॉर्मेट में कभी नहीं देखा. द वे दैट दे वर बैकिंग, यू नो, इट वाज स्पिन टू विन फॉर देम एंड इट वाज क्लियर फ्रॉम देयर फॉर्मूला. डू यू थिंक दिस इज द की नाउ फॉर देम टू डू बेटर in the upcoming games? We know that the semi-final, the first one is in Trinidad, then it's in Guyana, and then the final is in Barbados. क्या कॉम्बिनेशन लेके साउथ अफ्रीका अब आगे चलेंगे इस वर्ल्ड कप में?
देखिए, एक तो जो साउथ अफ्रीका के पास प्रीवियसली वर्ल्ड कप में हुआ है, तो ऐसा तो होना था उनके साथ कि कहीं ना कहीं से उनकी लक उनको वापस आनी थी. हम देखते हैं वो आते हैं स्मूथली, जाते हैं सेमीफाइनल में और आराम से हार जाते हैं. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है इस दफ़ा. इस दफ़ा हर गेम जो उनका देखें तो बहुत क्लोज है, और वो कहते हैं ना, नेल बाइटिंग गेम्स हो रहे हैं उनके, कि शायद अभी निकल जाए और अभी निकल जाए, लेकिन वो समहाउ वो लाइन पार कर रहे हैं. तो देखिए, लाइन पार करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. ऑन डे यार ठीक है, आपने बहुत सारे परफॉर्मेंसेस किए हों, बहुत सारे आउट किए हों, लेकिन आप जब लूजिंग साइड पे होते हैं तो मैटर नहीं करते. और यहाँ पे अगर मैं बात करूँ तो ज़्यादा पार्टनरशिप्स भी नहीं है, लेकिन जैसे हम कहते हैं कि फास्ट बॉलर हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ मार्क छोड़ते हैं. तो रबादा का ये जो शॉट था, मेरे ख्याल से उन्होंने जॉनसन के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा इजी कर दिया है कि वो आराम से चेस करें. क्योंकि हम उनके अगर मार्कों की बात करें तो पूरी इस वर्ल्ड कप में जब वो बैटिंग करने आया तो उन्होंने कुछ भी नहीं किया, लेकिन उनके जो 21 रन्स है 16 बॉल्स पे, ये अब हमेशा याद रहेंगे, क्योंकि वो बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट परफॉर्मेंसेस होती है जो आपको विनिंग में काम करे। एक तो ये हो गया। उसके बाद ये देखिए उन्होंने अभी बड़ा स्मार्टली ये किया है कि वो जहाँ उनको ज़रूरत पड़ती है तो वो रेडी हैं कुछ भी चेंज करने के लिए। तो तबरेज़ शमसी की हम बात करें इस T20 फॉर्मेट में, अगर हम उनकी परफॉर्मेंसेस देखें, उनकी आउट्स देखें, तो वो टॉप में ही कहीं ना कहीं नज़र आ रहे होते हैं, लेकिन उनको वो स्मार्टली उनको यूज़ कर रहे हैं। तो यही एक टीम की अच्छी जो है साइन है उनके लिए। उनके कैप्टन जो है एडम मार्करम, उनकी तरफ से जो हमें एक्सपेक्टेशन है कि वो आएंगे और जिस तरह के वो बैटर हैं, जिस तरह के वो परफॉर्मर हैं, उनकी तरफ से वो नहीं आ रही, लेकिन उन स्मार्ट कैप्टन में से हैं जो कि बहुत स्मार्ट कैप्टनसी करे। तो मेरे ख्याल से इस वक्त साउथ अफ्रीका की लक उनकी तरफ है। और
चार ओवर भी उन्होंने अपने ऊपर से आते ही
बिल्कुल,
पूरे
मैं ये नहीं चाहूंगा कि वो जो कहते हैं ना एक किसी हर टीम का एक बैड डे आता है, तो मैं नहीं चाहूंगा कि वो सेमीफाइनल में आए, और मैं तो बहुत मेरी ख्वाहिश है कि वो फाइनल्स में जाएं और वो फाइनल जीतें।
And you know, you're talking about South Africa having that one bad day in every World Cup, but so far, you know, it's not about them losing matches that they're supposed to win anymore. It's about them winning matches that they're easily supposed to lose, and that's, I think, the flip side of this South African team that we are seeing now in this World Cup. So who knows, the curse will be lifted this time.
Well, they're winning those little 1% moments that can so easily go against you in so many games, and to do it from 5 of the 6 times that they've actually been really challenged has been quite exceptional. So I'm sure they'll be hoping for at least one more of those in that semi-final against whoever it may be. But just to deep dive some of the performances that got them there within the South African side today, we talk about the bench strength of South Africa and how good they've been at utilising different players in different conditions. They looked at this Antigua track today and they thought, Tebreez Shamsi, he's our man. Now, player of the match performance, Hafiz, off the back of getting absolutely spanked for 50 the last time he was playing in this ground as well. He said, I overcame that mental challenge and I felt like my team, my captain really believed in me to deliver, and delivery did. He got Kyle Mayers, Roston Chase, Rutherford, all very dangerous names that were really going as well and threatening to take the game away from South Africa in that first innings. We'll relive his spell here of 3 for 27, but what impressed you about how he's come off the bench again, put another wonderful performance in and helped take his side to a semi-final?
Well, knowing him well, played couple of seasons of CPL with him, also played some of the games against him versus South Africa. I know this guy always wanted to achieve something in his career, and that is something always he's looking for. He practiced hard in the I know he's not the fittest guy in the side, but he always work hard for that. You know, as a player, it's very important how you come out from your failure. So that is, you know, because he believed in himself, he knew that what variety he got. He's always a wicket taker. But, you know, in the last game, he's been out of the park everywhere. By, I think, Andre's house hit him everywhere. But, you know, coming out of that, show you how strong character he has within himself. So I think in this game, most importantly, he took 3 wickets in that situation of the game, which matters the most. Basically, middle order, Roston Chase, Powell and Rutherford, all 3 wickets he took in the middle overs, which we already talked, like, you know, whoever spinner does that damage, it's hard to recover for the other team. So I think as a spinner, he must be proud of his effort. As a team, everyone must be happy from, like, you know, the mindset behind it, who basically give him more confidence to perform, must be happy and must be satisfied on the process they continued with.
And he found success, Shoaib, against the set batters. Like if Kyle Mayers gets going, he was 35 of 34 balls. Roston Chase, who was threatening to win the game pretty much off his own all-round performance, he gets him at 52 or 42. He found solutions with that left arm wrist spin in these conditions in Antigua.
We've been covering cricket for many years now. Sometimes benching people is good for them, isn't it?
Fires you up, right? There's something to prove even more.
No, just in order to get some good out of them, bench them. But who's the most important guy to make the best out of you? Hey, listen, you're the one. I want you. I benched you. I want you.
The
Who is it?
captain.
The captain. This is the Markram. This is the trick of Markram. Hey, listen, toss it up. Relax. I'm with you. You're as good as your captain. That's it. Simple as that. Hafiz could have done wonders. Yunus, Martin, all of us. We're just like babies that need to be smothered, right? So it's just a captain who just gave him a confidence. The spinner is all about, is looking up to the captain all the time, that is saying, listen, can I do this? He said, listen, you have all the permission in the world, go out there, just get me the wickets. And what he does, he tosses it up, he spins it. He's the Kuldeep Yadav for South Africa, isn't he? Well, he is.
Yeah.
So he's turning the ball, he's spinning the ball, he's tossing the ball up. Well, Jordan, you're allowed to come back from the bench and reverse it in, get some wickets, make us proud, off you go, right? So he is the captain. This team was missing a one thing in South Africa team. No disrespect to nobody. Was the good captain. Now you got a good captain. He's bringing good luck to you. You know, see what they say is the leadership is 80% is the mentality. There's 20% of the skill work. It is the mentality is working out for them, and all the curse and all the bad luck they had in the back for last 30 years. Now they finally find the luck with the new guy. Hey, bring him a good luck and just win the semi-final. Who knows what's going to happen now tomorrow?
And what a headache, Roho, now for selections as well. South Africa obviously going for a spin-heavy attack and adding that extra spinner in at the expense of Otniel Bartman, a pacer.
Yeah.
And then he goes and gets a player of the match performance. What are you going to do?
That's a good headache to have, right? I mean, as we were talking about
Problem of
England as well
plenties.
and some of the other teams who have those options, you know, as Butler also said yesterday, you know, when he was asked whether this was his best 11, he's like, it's not the best. I mean, we can't tag that, but he said that we've got options, and I think that's what matters as a captain. You need to know कि आपके पास bench पे players हैं and you can utilize them as you require. But Marty, we have to give it to the West Indies, the way that they played their heart out in this World Cup. The captain also said that they've been playing some amazing cricket in the last 15 months, you know, going up in the rankings as well, and just overall improving the quality of cricket these players bring. Roston Chase, wonderful all-round effort from him. Coming in at number 452 with the bat of 42 balls, when you lose a wicket that early on, be coming in and knowing you have this huge responsibility of putting runs on the board. How spectacular was he? We'll take a look at his all-round package, what he delivered today with the bat and with the ball. Unfortunate, but what a player.
Yeah, and it's not the first time he's done this in this tournament. Remember back to the first game when he had to come in and, you know, steady the ship and get it back on course, and he did that beautifully with I think he got 50 in that game as well, and I think he got wickets as well, picked up
He
a
was
couple
the man
as
of the
well.
match
So,
in that game.
you know, he likes to take on that responsibility of getting the job done, and, you know, at 5 for 2 with, you know, Shai Hope back in the who got 80 last game, Nicholas Pooran, who was one of the top run scorers in the tournament, both back in the shed. You know, someone had to take responsibility, and, you know, he put his hand up again and said, it's my day, I'm going to do the job, and, you know, he played beautifully. If he had a little bit more support through that middle period there, who knows how many they could have got.
And with the ball as well, I mean, just aiming for the right areas, utilizing, because the pitch was doing a lot for the bowlers.
Yeah, the first one there, Miller, kept it a little bit low, and then see tossing it up a little bit and enticing the batter to have a go, and then, yeah, trying to float it up a little bit more and trying to get a tail ender out, which he's done the trick, and I think Shoaib's done that a few times as well, the tail enders, haven't you? Full and straight, have a go, and holes everywhere.
Yeah, you haven't seen my record. I've won many games for Pakistan.
Like that.
But Roston Chase, since we're talking about his all-round ability, and before you bring it up, I've already taken out his first-class stats. 102 first-class games for him, over 5,000 runs in first class for him, 178
जो रेगुलर
wickets.
खेलते हैं
So,
मैंने इनको सीपीएल के सीजन में देखा यूनुस भाई, जो सबसे मुश्किल पिच होती थी ना, ये सबसे अच्छा परफॉर्म करता था.
लेकिन उसकी वजह क्या है?
I don't know, somehow mentally इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग है कि सिचुएशन जितनी मुश्किल आती थी, सीपीएल के मैच में अगर 120 करना है और वो 120 करना मुसीबत बनी हुई है, ये वहाँ पे जाके अपना 60 कर रहा है. पूरी टीम के 120 नहीं हो रहा है, ये 60 कर रहा है. तो जितनी मुश्किल कंडीशन में ये परफॉर्म करता था, मैं उस वक्त सोचता था कि यार ये वेस्ट इंडीज टीम में क्यों नहीं आ रहा. बट समवेयर नाउ ही इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द टीम, बट ही इज अ गाय हु वांट्स टू टेक द सिचुएशन, who wants to perform under such difficult situations. You must have seen most of the time he performed under difficult situation of the game.
They were 2 for 1 today in that first
नहीं, लेकिन
over.
आप देखें कि बाकी सारे बैट्समैन स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं. He is playing very well.
अच्छा,
He's
मजे की
bringing the
बात है,
best.
गैप्स में खेल रहे हैं.
That's what I'm saying. The ability he has. What I watched that time, three years back, I played CPL that time. He was the guy who was performing in each and every tough situation and condition of the match. Somehow he must have trained himself accordingly, even though he plays test cricket very well. Most of the time when he performs, conditions were never been easy. So this is a guy who takes responsibility to perform under such conditions where other basically get exposed.
It's a wonderful cricket smarts from Roston Chase there. Very nearly got the job done for the West Indies. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. It ended up being a 17-over run chase by South Africa. They got the job done with 5 balls to spare. But just before we leave the West Indies in this edition of the T20 World Cup, gentlemen, just on the back of what Rodman Powell said in the post-match presentation as well, it's been a mammoth 15 months for West Indies cricket. They've been all at sea, to be perfectly honest, particularly after not even qualifying for the 50-over World Cup. They've gone from number 9 in the world to number 3 rankings in just a very short period of time. And I think we all know that cricket's in a much better place when the West Indies are doing well as well. They're such a fierce competitor. Just, what do you say just to sign off on what a wonderful regrouping of one of the real big forces of our cricketing world to be back in such good form?
The most 2 important teams in this planet Earth, they has to be stabilized and it has to be out there is A, Pakistan, second is West Indies. But the reason why I'm saying this, I'm going to elaborate, because you get such unorthodox kind of talent out of these 2 countries where you can't find anywhere in the planet. I mean, you are the inventor of Dusra. Have you heard of that kind of things? Well, you are the leg spinner, 1970s, Abdul Qadir. There is a thing. I mean, you get such exceptional talent comes out of this sort of land, and they needs to be out there, these sort of teams. And look at the decline that we had, Pakistan cricket. You all must have agreed that. What we did in this World Cup, this is just a whole process is showing that to you, that we are declining fast for last 1 to 2 decades. This is exactly what happened with West Indies. But they're cut for that kind of a role. West Indies and Pakistan play only one good format. Apart from that, they don't play any good formats. Apart from T20, they're good for nothings. They're good, very good for a T20. When it comes to 50 years one days, it's a dying art, by the way, that's what I believe. And Test cricket. I mean, there are only 2-3 teams who actually wins the Test cricket, even their home grounds, in the home cities, India, England, and Australia. And Australia goes out to win most of the time outside Australia, right? But apart from that, test is also dying. But these 2 teams needs to come back in the world circuit to produce more talent. If they are dying, the pool of talent is going to die with it.
लेकिन मैं can I ask one question? Like आपने जो question जो mention किया दोनों टीमें, आपको नहीं लगता कि पहले वेस्ट इंडीज के फॉल डाउन होने की वजह क्या थी? उसकी कोई रीज़न आपके पास हो? और फिर पाकिस्तान ने भी उसी को फॉलो किया, आपको नहीं उसका कुछ रिजेम्बलेंस लग रही? दोनों टीमों के नीचे जाने की सबसे बड़ी वजह यह है कि वो T20 ओरिएंटेड क्रिकेट को दिमाग में रख के अपने स्किल्स को पॉलिश करते रहे, प्रमोट करते रहे अपने मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा हूँ कि मेरी समझ में जो प्रमोशन ऑफ T20 क्रिकेट टू मच एट डोमेस्टिक लेवल, टू मच एट ग्रास रूट लेवल, आई थिंक दैट इज डैमेजिंग
अफीज। मैं बात हूँ सच्ची बात हूँ, कभी इतनी खुल के प्रोग्राम बात नहीं की उर्दू में। देख यार, हमारी कौम को लगता था कि रोज़ फास्टेस्ट बॉलर पैदा हो जाएंगे, रोज़ यूसुफ आ जाएगा, इंजमाम आ जाएगा, वसीम अकरम आ जाएंगे, बुकार आ जाएंगे, रोज़ आ जाएंगे। एक तो बड़ी खुशफहमी थी सारों को, ये पूल ऑफ टैलेंट ना बड़ा औखा आया था। अल्लाह माफ़ करे, जो हमारे नेट बॉलर थे ना वो 145 प्लस थे, नेट बॉलर जो पाकिस्तान खेल सकते थे। तो हमें ये लगता था, हमारे मीडिया को भी ये लगता था कि ये रोज़ आ जाएंगे, कोई मसला थोड़ी है, पीछे भरे पड़े हुए हैं, आ रहे हैं। टेकिंग अस फॉर अ ग्रांटेड। सेकेंडली, हमने इन्वेस्टमेंट की, हमने मेक श्योर किया कि हमने लॉन्गर फॉर्मेट के ऊपर तवज्जो नहीं देनी, विच इज़ फर्स्ट क्लास। हमने मेक श्योर किया कि हमें जो चक्का मारेगा, लंबा चक्का मारेगा, हमने उसको सुपरस्टार बनाना। 2, फिर हमने इन्वेस्ट भी उधर ही किया क्रिकेट में, और फिर मेक श्योर किया कि हमारी मैनेजमेंट इतनी अनसेटल्ड रहे। 126 चेयरमैन आ चुके हैं, तो पता, सॉरी, इतने चेयरमैन चेंज हो चुके हैं, और 27 तो मैंने गिन ली है।
126
नहीं, मैं मजाक
कंपनी दी मशहूरी की थी समझे, जरा गल नु उस लेवल ते ले गए,
समझ गए किस तरह सेटल होगा। हर एक मैं चेयरमैन का नाम लेता, अभी गुजरे हैं ये 2-3 महीने पहले, मैं बाबर को कुछ नहीं कह सकता, मैं नहीं कह सकता उसको कुछ, मैं कहा आप भी डर रहे हैं, आप खुद डर रहे हैं, एज ए चेयरमैन यू आर स्केयर्ड ऑफ इट, बट व्हाट काइंड ऑफ डिसीजन दैट यू वांट टू मेक?
अब आप देखें ना, जो आप
ये देखिए हालत है।
आप बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं। मेरी समझ में सिर्फ एक चीज़ आती है कि जो आप काटते हैं वो पहले बोते हैं।
ऐसे
तो
ही
ये अनफॉर्चुनेट बी जो पहले वेस्ट इंडीज ने अब वो काट रहे हैं, उन्होंने बड़ी देर पहले बोया, उनकी बैड
Yes,
मैनेजमेंट आई,
yes,
प्लेयरों ने
yes.
T20 क्रिकेट को खेलने की तरफ ज़्यादा उनका ट्रेंड था। पाकिस्तान भी उसी को फॉलो करना शुरू हो गया। पाकिस्तान की क्रिकेट में डिक्लाइन होने की वजह T20 PSL की परफॉर्मेंस के ऊपर सारी टीम बनना, अनफॉर्चुनेटली, वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेटली
PSL ने बड़ा कर
PJL जो जूनियर लीग बनाई गई, अंडर 19 लेवल पे हमने T20 को प्रमोट कर दिया है कि जी हमारी क्रिकेट ही T20 बेस है। तो वहां से ये अनफॉर्चुनेट माइंडसेट डेवलप हुआ कि इट्स ऑल अबाउट T20। तो इसीलिए हम लोग अनफॉर्चुनेटली उस जगह पे आगे खड़े हो गए हैं जहां पे हम लोगों को मुश्किल हो रही है टू कम्पीट एट हाईएस्ट लेवल।
और हम बेसिक्स से जो है एज प्लेयर्स शायद दूर हट गए हैं, बट लेट्स bringing it back to the comparison that you drew between Pakistan and West Indies, and what we have also talked about in this show over and over again, somebody like Darren Sammy coming in at this point and bringing everybody together, in that show of unity.
You get in the patches. You're going to be lucky to have a one good chairman. I think the present one is a very good guy. But if you're lucky to have a captain like Yunus, you're just lucky to have some captains. Right? Like even late 80s, Imran Khan was a captain. You're lucky to have him. So he made a team for you. So he made a generations for you. Well, I am the aftermaths of that generation. Because I've started playing cricket because of that man. So you have to understand you're lucky. It's not the system is providing you, you just happen to be there. He's happened to be there as a captain. And that's how you won the World Cup, Yunus.
Now, from now, what should West Indies do now? After this campaign, my answer is very simple.
I'm so sorry to cut you. We are going for a very short break, but when we come back, yahin se I think we'll continue because a very important discussion right now is being discussed here on Game On. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on HMR Waterfront Presents Game.